So Aziz, was it a couple of months ago or maybe a year ago, we sat down in our regular session and you told us a lot about your life story, and it was a very incredible story, you know, and if anybody wants, they can watch it on our YouTube channel, inshallah. But you mentioned growing up homeless, you able to get a scholarship in where is it, Florida?
Florida Atlantic.
Florida Atlantic. And at the same time, looking out for your brothers, your younger brothers, getting custody of your brothers so that they could be on campus with you. You're taking them to school while at the same time playing football in college. And really just going through an incredible story of responsibility, as well as, optimism and having hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you were telling me that Surah Ar-Rahman really resonated with you. So I wanted you to just, let me know what caused it to resonate with you so much.
So for me, Surah Ar-Rahman resonated for me when I was in high school. I used to, I've always had really bad anxiety as a kid because I was always so anxious, so worried, growing up homeless. It was just tough because I didn't know where my next meal was gonna come from, or if I was ever gonna one day accomplish the things I have. Alhamdulillah, I can say, at 28 years old, back then when I was 17, 16 years old, I've done all the things, a good majority of the things that I used to worry about back then, so alhamdulillah. But back then, having that anxiety, the Quran just would always ease my mind. So even though I did not understand a single word, Surah Ar-Rahman, it was a recitation, and I don't remember who it was that gave it, but I would click on it on YouTube, and I would listen to it before I went to sleep, basically every night when I was in high school. And so then when I got to college, I remember I continued that on, but I would do it before my football games because I would get a really bad anxiety the day before my games. And I remember when one day before my game, I go to click on the same YouTube video I've been watching for the last 5 years, and I remember the video got taken down, and so now I'm oh my gosh, that's always the recitation that I like to listen to. So I had to find a new one, and when I found a new one, this recitation had the translations. And so, because it was new, I was a little uneasy, so I wanted to we just listen and see what it says, since I always hear and that was my favorite part, because it just was a little jingle, just hearing it repetitively, it was just soothing. And I never forget when I was looking at the recitation and the translation, and when I saw that verse, when I saw what it meant, my heart, I'm in the hotel room the night before the game, my heart dropped, just felt so heavy, because something that I'm sitting there just, easing my mind to go to sleep is just constantly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking me, asking all of us as a ummah, which one of the favors of your Lord can you deny? Or will you deny? And I feel it just hit me so hard because it made me just check and have to recheck my whole mentality, my whole mindset. And so I think just thinking about that, and it just really kind of reaffirmed my faith and made me kind of go a lot harder with being more devout as a Muslim and being more grateful for the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. You go throughout the surah, and you see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes through all the things throughout the heaven and the earth that He created, man, jinn, He talks about the seas being connected but being, touching but not, crossing. And so He goes through all these beautiful things that He's created. And anybody, you got artwork back there, and, with the art, whoever painted the art, they're proud of their painting, you know what I'm saying? You're showing it off, you're letting everybody know, this is gonna sell for however much. And usually when somebody does something like that, they don't go and then say, I'm gonna destroy it, and it's gonna be nothing. Usually you're proud of that. So to think as I'm, again, seeing the translation, and seeing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes through all these things in this life that he's created, and then go on to say that even then, with all of that, this whole earth and everything in it will be destroyed, and the only thing that will remain is him. And it's just like, perspective just completely changes, because it just gives you like a moment to be like, man, what's important and what's not.
You know, you just reminded me when you said like the idea of being grateful to Allah's blessings and how it repeats in the surah. Culture plays a big part of whether you're grateful or whether you're not. And culture, it could be the culture of a country, or it could be the culture of a community, or the culture of a family. So for me, one thing that always used to catch me off guard is when you say to a person, how are you? And they say, can't complain. As if the default is that I have something to complain about, and I don't have anything to complain about. As opposed to, you know, there's a friend, Malik from Clear Lake, who I love very much. Every time I ask him, how are you? He goes, never better. Which to me is so nice, and it's so different, right? It's gratitude, as opposed to a person. So if you're looking for things to complain about, then you'll find those things. And if you're looking for things to be thankful about, then you'll find those things. And which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? And also, if a person, when Allah says, Kullu man alayha fan, everything will be destroyed. I'm assuming that resonates with you specifically as somebody who is in the limelight. You see fame, you experience it, and at the same time it grounds you to recognize what's fleeting, because all of that is fleeting.
Yeah, I mean, it just gives you a reality check, because, you know, all of us, you know, whatever our field may be, but mine specifically just being football, is something that since I was a child, you know, I've wanted to do. And it's been my pursuit, you know, for as long as I can remember. So to accomplish all these things, you know, I played 7 years at this point, going into my 8th year, been to the Pro Bowl now, and, you know, one of the best players at my position. And all those things, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is letting us know it means nothing. And I think, you know, I've spoken about this before, but I equate it to kind of like how a husband and a wife, or say like your wife likes to go to art galleries, but you don't like that at all. And you feel like it's worth nothing, it means nothing to you, but you do it because you know you love your wife and you care about her. It's like that times a gazillion, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that everything in this life is going to disappear. But every single day we're still in pursuit of something in this life. We just all prayed, and everybody, I'm sure, had a million different prayers for all type of goals and things that they want to achieve. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which it talks about in this surah as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is simultaneously answering every single person's dua, prayer, call out to him with no effort, and knowing that it means everything to us. And that's why he still answers it, even if he knows it holds no weight, no value in the next life. So it just is very humbling more than anything, because I think we all know like that feeling of like doing something that you don't really care about that somebody else does, and be like, oh my God. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never does that for us. You know, you walk to him, he's coming running to you. So just knowing that whatever energy you come in with him, he's going 10 times as hard towards you. And I think that's just like a beautiful thing.
It's a great privilege for us to be worshiping Allah. Like when everybody else is spending their life worshiping whatever it is that they're worshiping, the more you learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like you said, that you walk to him and he runs to you, you end up feeling like honored. You know, you end up feeling humbled, and you're so grateful that you are in a position to worship a Lord with such perfect attributes. And that in and of itself is the greatest blessing that we're not allowed to deny.
100%, I think. You just feel, like you said, you feel honored. Like, and I think it makes me like smile talking about it, because when I started to understand that, and I feel like in that kind of moment where I talked about my college experience, I realized, you know, the blessing that I have to even be able to, you know, attribute, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any type of way to every single thing that I do. And it just, I feel like it propelled me 10 times farther, because I just knew that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's nothing that's out of reach, off limits. And again, when you do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he'll replace it with something better. Just like when you incorporate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in everything that you do, and you understand the weight of that and the blessing in that, you'll go so much further. And it's extremely hard, you know, especially whether in the United States. And alhamdulillah, in Houston there's a good Muslim community, but it's challenges. You go into the world and you deal with so many different things where you're questioning your faith, you're questioning different things, whether it's sisters, whether it's covering for the brothers, whether it's lowering your gaze, whatever it might be. And you know, you constantly have to remember, you know, it's an honor, it's a privilege, and why you're doing what you're doing, and knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like with you every single step of the way. I feel like it just makes you, when you go in and you have that perspective, it just makes everything like 10 times better.
I was going to ask you, and I want to end with this, but just since we're going in this direction, Ramadan is a time of transformation, right? People make commitments in Ramadan to be better. We all do, and we all should. What advice do you have for that person who is looking to take a step, but they're in an environment that's challenging? Sometimes when I say something like that, people are like, man, you know, it's easy for you. You're lecturing in masajid. Like, it's not a hard occupation. But somebody who's in the NFL, we were all very proud of you when you had the Stop the Genocide, what do you call that, paint?
Yeah, it's just like a eye black.
Yeah, the eye black on it. And you know, it caused a lot of heat for you, alhamdulillah. But it didn't matter. And you know, the strength that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you for it, and the courage as well. So what advice would you have for people who are looking to walk in that type of courage, that type of space? They're in environments like that.
I think the biggest thing is like, again, being in the United States, like, again, it's easier for you. People assume it's easier for you because of your position and what you do. But all of us are still human. So you're no more left or no less challenged than us, you know. But for myself and for everybody else, I think the biggest thing that I say is you have to be unapologetically Muslim and just own it. You know, I think we try so hard to just fit in with everybody else. Like I know more people who I feel like have left Islam because they just wanted to be able to be a part of the crowd, when alhamdulillah, like, look around you. Like you have a support group, you have a ummah, and even if you're alone by yourself, you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you. And again, I think something I just know and believe in my heart, because it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words say, was that we sacrifice something for his sake to replace it with something better. So for me, I truly do believe that, yes, there's times where I might want to go with my teammates to some party or something that like sounds like it's going to be fun, and I stop myself because I'm like, nah, like that's not aligning with what I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do and who I'm supposed to be. So the biggest thing I always tell people is like, be who God called you to be. And what does that look like? You know, like when you're diving into your faith, you're diving into your iman, be around like-minded people. You know, see all the people here today, tonight, alhamdulillah, like it's like 12 o'clock at night. Like, honestly, until I got to Houston, I had never experienced this type of thing. And so being around Plus One.
Where were you before Houston?
Before Houston, I was in Tennessee. And then before that, I played for the 49ers for 4 years.
San Francisco?
Yes, San Francisco. So even growing up in Tampa, like there was a Muslim community, but like it wasn't like this. And alhamdulillah, that's a blessing. But even if that's not the case, I think the biggest thing is just knowing that what you're doing, like who you're doing it for. And again, I think Surah Ar-Rahman really just puts it all in perspective, because it lets you know that everything that you're chasing in this life, you know, is literally worth nothing. Like it's a blessing to have, but in the grand scheme of the scale that you're gonna be judged on, it's not gonna be about, you know, how many tackles I made, and oh, did you get the interception, or did you drop me? Like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't care about that, but he's gonna ask me about what did I do with the money that I was given, what did I do with the fame that I did have, you know, the platform that I had. And to me, I did that. That's worth more than going to whatever party or, being around whoever is supposed to be cool. Like, for example, and I know I talk a lot. So
No, it's all good.
But for example, I had the Pro Bowl was in San Francisco, and after the Pro Bowl, I stayed out there to do all these different interviews and stuff like that. And so the owners of NFL, commissioner, they have these parties, these big, huge parties, like the stuff you would see on like a movie. And so like I'm getting personal invites to come to all this stuff. They got all these little booths and stuff set up for me. And like, I'm like, nah, like, yeah, does that sound cool? Like, maybe. But like, is that something that aligns with who I say I want to be as a Muslim? Is that something that, I think is worth it in the grand scheme of like, not my dunya, but my akhirah? Like, no, it's not. And so, yeah, I stayed home. And to turn down an invitation from the commissioner of the NFL is like, what? You're not going to go? Like, everybody looked at me crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not going to no party with who? For what? So, again, we look at these people. Even me, I'm just a human. Like, who am I? I'm nobody. I'm going to die one day. And inshallah, you might remember something I said, but who am I? I'm no one. So I see the same with anybody else. I respect everybody, and you should, but I think a lot of times we try to fit in and try to be a part of the crowd, and you realize, being Muslim, you are called to be different, and you are going to stand out, and you just got to embrace that.
What remains is the face of Allah. وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. And so seeking the face of Allah. Jazakumullah khair. The legend himself, our Pro Bowl, what do they call it?
Pro Bowl linebacker, right?
Pro Bowl linebacker, exactly. I'm a big football fan, as you can tell. Jazakumullah khair. Sheikh Azeez, thank you very much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, man.